Welcome to the December L&D Philly workshop. You can find all of our upcoming events on our website, which you're seeing on the screen here, ldphilly.com. Since you all managed to register for the event, you found this website, and so that means you also will receive our weekly emails promoting our upcoming events. If you're not a member and you want to join, it's only $25 per year, and that gets you access to our library of recorded webinars as well as discounted workshops. You can find the link to the recorded workshops right here on the web page. We have four great events scheduled so far in 2023. You'll see them going by on the slides here. On January 19th, we have the Now and Next of Learning and Technology. January 23rd, our members only quarterly meetup. February 28th brings us facilitator skills for immersive learning. And March 23rd, unlock what's next by amplifying what exists. If you come to the website, either click on the pictures or look on the listings below, you'll be able to get full details on all of those events. I'd also like to take a moment to thank our great sponsors. They allow us to provide the quality program we have at the low costs. So first up, Judge Learning Solutions. You will see their logo literally on every web page on our website. And also down at the bottom here, they have a bigger banner ad. Basically, they have two main features that they offer. One is that they do custom learning design work, and the other is job placement for either employers or job seekers. So if you have need for any of those services, please reach out to our friends at Judge Learning Solutions. You can click on their logo or on the banner on the webpage and get more information. Also, Degreed is our email sponsor. They offer a learning experience platform, and you'll see their logo in our weekly newsletter, along with a link to a report dealing how their platform can increase training ROI. And then lastly, we have Training Pros who sponsors our job board, which you can also find on the front page here. What I'd like to do now is take a moment to introduce my friend, Amy Dinning. Amy is a talent development leader with extensive experience working with all organizational levels, setting strategy, creating, promoting, and delivering learning, leadership, and talent development solutions designed to support the organization's business plan and goals. Amy has also dedicated herself to supporting people and finding their next career opportunities, and she does this in a variety of ways. She serves as a board member and orientation leader for My Career Transitions. She's the creator and chief facilitator of a workshop that I have had the privilege to attend called Jumpstart Your Job Search. L&D Philly has also been a partner and a promoter of that event over the years. And it's offered twice a year for those in job transition, the underemployed, new grads, and those seeking to change jobs and careers. So with all that, she also speaks to various professional associations and networking groups on a variety of topics, including ours tonight. Like I said, I'm really excited to have Amy present to L&D Philly. She has a wealth of knowledge on this topic. For those of you watching this recording now, you're in for a treat. And with that, I am going to pass it over to Amy to get started.
So we're going to talk about a topic that obviously over the last 2 years has become even more important because, we had to go back in our homes and not be out, not be networking in person. And so job search became really kind of a different animal, I would say, in a sense, although a lot of things that we would do are the same that I would do whether COVID happened or not. So I really want to talk to you about how do you conduct an effective job search, given that we're mostly in a virtual environment as we're doing this. And another little piece about me, I'm not here because I've written a book and I want to sell it to you, or, I'm a coach and I want to sell you my coaching services. I've actually been laid off 3 times myself. So after that happened to me the second time, I was like, wow, how can I help other people that are going through this? So, I've been speaking to various groups, and as Mark said, I run a workshop. I'm very involved in helping job seekers because I've been there. I know what it's like. I know how it feels. And I want to help you to be successful and find your next opportunity. So that's really my credentials, more so than everything else that I've done. So first I want to talk about an overall kind of look at what are some steps that you could follow to move forward in your job search. And so these are the things that we're going to dive into a bit today. And I will also provide the slides for Josh so that he can share them with you as well. So I encourage you to take some notes, but don't feel like you have to write everything down. So we're going to go through these 7 steps and dive into them a little bit more, get your thoughts and your feedback on some of these steps as well. So first thing is career goals. Now, you might be thinking, Amy, I've been working for a while. Why do I have to have career goals? Well, when you're working, do you have goals? Yeah, right. The beginning of the year, you set goals with your company. You probably put them into the performance system. Why is looking for a job any different? And when you have goals, they give you direction. They give you a plan that you can follow. So really important to think about setting goals and not just, I want to find a job, right? Because those of you that are used to setting goals, you want a SMART goal. You want it to be specific and measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bounded. Same thing with your career goals. You want to find a new job doing what? By when? Set yourself a goal. Now, I know you're not totally in charge of when you find a job, but if you have that goal and you're looking at it every day, you're going to be motivated by that goal to help you move forward. So when you think about career goals, the first thing I want to say is, in case you didn't already know, and I'm sure you do, looking for a job is a job, right? I think you would all agree with me about that. It doesn't come like this. It's not quick. We have to make efforts. We need to have interviews. We need to network. We need to meet people. So you've got a job ahead of you to find a job. What is your ultimate career goal? And what do you need to do to get there? What does it look like? Do you know? Have you thought about it? Or have you had a career where you just kind of went wherever something happened? I got a job, so I did this for a while, and then I left and I got a job, and that's okay. But if you really are trying to achieve something and get somewhere, you want to have a career goal. And how are you going to get there? What do you need to do to get to that goal? So if you're in job search, this is a great time to revisit, or if you don't have anything written down, write down your career goals. What are they? Also, think about daily, weekly, monthly goals to get to that career goal. And if it's, this is the job that I want to get that job. I need to get that job within the next 3 months. That's my goal. What are you going to do daily, weekly, monthly to get there? Be specific. Set yourself a calendar, write it down. And even if you say things like, I'd like to have 2 phone interviews each week. I'd like to attend 2 networking events each week. Set yourself those goals, be specific, and then follow up. How are you doing? Wow, I had 3 phone interviews this week and I went to 3 networking groups. Great, you exceeded your goals. Okay, so set those because those are motivating you towards that ultimate goal, whatever it is. So I want to give you a minute right now, and I want you to think about your career goal. What is it? Do you know? Maybe grab a piece of paper and jot a couple of words down. What is that career goal that you want to pursue? Think about that. Write a few notes down. That's where you want to start. What is your career goal? What do you need to do to get there? And that's what you want to be spending your time on in your job search to help you to get there. Now, maybe your ultimate career goal is here and you want to get a job that's here and eventually grow to that career goal. That's okay. What do you need to do to get here? And write that down. What are the activities? Because, when you talk about goals, you can't do a goal. You do activities to achieve a goal. So you set the goal, and then what do you need to do to get there? Those are the activities that help you to achieve the goal. Yeah, I see, Rebecca, that you've had the 5th layoff. That is not good. I apologize for that. It gets not easier each time, I won't say. So career goal number 1, what's your career goal? And then setting daily, weekly, monthly goals to get there. The next thing I have on my list, and hopefully you recognize what's in the corner here, although this is the more modern version of the Slinky, right? Those of us that are a little bit older are used to the totally metal gray Slinky, right, Deborah? This is a plastic, colorful Slinky. I like the metal one better. In your job search, you want to be open-minded and flexible. Now, I'll be honest with you. The first once or twice that I was laid off, I won't necessarily say that I was totally open-minded and flexible. I think that in some ways I kind of thought, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to do. And I wasn't open to all possibilities. But being in job search caused me to be open and flexible. So what do I mean by that? Consider new ideas. For example, consulting. So at the end of 2008, many of you will remember what happened to the economy. It tanked. And I lost my job. I was in banking. I lost my job the end of 2008. Who is going to hire somebody in learning and development when the economy tanked? No one. Now, I was very fortunate that I got a consulting position with AstraZeneca. Having never worked in pharmaceuticals before, I was able to get in there with a 3-month contract, extended to a year, extended to 2 years. So it kept me going over the time when our economy was really horrible. But I didn't want to do that. But I considered it, I thought about it, and I did it. And it gave me great experience. I think it was my first global experience, which has helped me to get other jobs after that. I had some phenomenal projects that I worked on. In fact, I still today, when I look back at the projects they gave me, I can't believe they gave them to me, being that I knew nothing about the pharmaceutical industry. And I was in the drug development area. I wasn't in HR. So I had to learn how drugs were developed like really quick in order to do the project they gave me. So it expanded my horizons, gave me another industry, gave me the global experience. So consulting, consider a different industry, consider a different role. All of those kinds of things that you can think about. Oh, no, Rebecca, you were in 2008 too. I just saw that. Yeah, so, it opened up your eyes and broaden the way that you look at things so that you can be open. Right now, companies all over the world, not just the US, are open to remote workers. So you could get a job with a company, I don't know, let's say Switzerland, one of my favorite countries, right? If you wanted to. Because a lot of companies are open for that remote worker. You don't have to be anywhere near where they are. You could be 100% remote. Now, I don't want to be 100% remote. I like people too much. But some people love that. So that's opened a huge door that was not open before the pandemic. Another thing you could consider, so, and I'll throw a little tip in here. If you're currently unemployed and you're currently collecting unemployment, be very careful about the positions that you might accept. So if you are not an employee for a company and you come in as a contract worker, 1099, that affects your unemployment. And you won't be able to collect your unemployment after you end that 1099 gig, because 1099 means you have your own company, your own job, you're not going to be supported by unemployment. So be careful. But here's what I did. Twice I did this. AstraZeneca, they had, what's the name of the company? I'm going to forget. They have a recruitment company that works in Yo Staffing, that's who it is, that works inside of AstraZeneca. So I became an employee of Yo, so that when my contract was up, I could go back to unemployment. After that ended, I actually had a short-term contract, 9 months, with Saint-Gobain here. Well, they're in Malvern now, a French company. And they wanted to put me on as a 1099. And I said, no, because when this is over, I'll lose my unemployment. Is there any way you can make me an employee, with a contract? So I became an employee of their payroll company for 9 months. And then actually they hired me as a full-time employee after that. So be very careful, but ask for things. If you don't ask, you don't get, right? So both of those times I became an employee, even though I was kind of a contractor. I didn't lose my unemployment, and I got an interesting situation with AstraZeneca. I told you the result. With Saint-Gobain, at the end of my 9 months there, the person that was leading talent and leadership development retired. So I put my hat in the ring and I got that job as a full-time employee. So when you're open-minded and flexible, I think it opens up opportunities for you that you might not, you just might not think about, right? So, Rebecca, I see you're saying you got benefits. So here's another interesting thing is, and this is a little off topic, but I'll throw it in there anyway. When you do consulting or contracting, you can get benefits. A lot of places are offering benefits for gig work now because they know that people want them. So at AstraZeneca, I think I got holidays after 90 days. And then I think after a year, I got vacation as a contract worker. I was like, wow, this is cool. I also could do 401k. They didn't give me a match, but I could put money into a 401k. So ask, what can you do for me? If they want you badly enough, even as a contractor, they will offer you certain benefits. So it's always good to ask about that. Let's see, I'm going back to questions. Think about the skills you bring, you can transfer that. Yeah, transferable skills all over the place. Yeah, be Gumby. I was going to put Gumby on here, but I thought that would make me look too old. Because I don't know how many people know who Pokey and Gumby are. But yeah, I do think about that. Let's see, too many contractor roles hurt you because the next person sees a bunch of contractor roles. Well, it's all on how you kind of sell that, I would say. And what you might want to do is put, I don't know if you formed your own company, but then put the project work below that really shows what work you were able to do for different companies. So maybe you focus on the project work, what you accomplished, more than who you worked for. And then that stands out to people as what you can do. So don't let people sell that short, because the experience you gain in situations like that is really valuable. All right, so we talked about career goals, being open-minded and flexible, like a Slinky or a Gumby. And the next one I want to talk about is honing your skills. So you see, I have live chat here. So I've been talking a little bit to warm you up. But in chat, what are some of the ways that you can hone your skills right now? What are some things you can do? So I have my chat open here and I'm going to watch. So go ahead and type in what are some of the things, yeah, get better at Zoom. And that's true because you may have interviews on Zoom. You can network on Zoom. So figure out how to best use Zoom because it's a tool and it's a free tool for the 40-minute Zooms, right? Ask professionals that are better than you. I won't say better, who have more experience than you, Mark, because you could be better than me, even though I have more experience, right? MS Teams interviews. So get familiar with Teams, these different programs that you can become more familiar with so that you are ready when you have an interview. Facilitate with Zoom, dig into Audacity software, free LinkedIn courses. Yes, not everything has to cost money. Okay, I have a free Zoom at home. I don't have the paid version, so don't pay for something that you don't have to. Let's see, I'm going down a little more. Join organizations like L&D Philly, volunteer. Absolutely. One of the times that I was laid off, Deborah will like this, I volunteered with ATD, Association for Talent Development, with the Philadelphia chapter, and with Mark Spool with our leadership and OD special interest group. And I said, Mark, you're doing this by yourself. I can help. And guess what I did at the meetings? I sat at the registration desk and I got to meet everybody coming in the door. This is before COVID, and the speakers included. And being a bold and daring person, I would say to the speakers after the meeting, who I had graciously met and told them where the bathrooms were, where to go, so they knew who I was. I said, hey, would you have a 30-minute networking call with me? I really love what you shared in the meeting. I didn't have anybody turn me down. So by volunteering at that front desk, think of all the people that I met. Okay. Allison saying, Mark asked pros what? So I don't know if you saw that question. Deborah, attend learning and development webinars, meetings. There's so many webinars that are free that you can learn from. Nonprofits love volunteers, absolutely. You can take professional development classes, YouTube, absolutely. There you go, ATD volunteering got you 4 jobs. Networking, thank you, Deborah, your check is in the mail. I think I remember, oh, Jenny, do you remember that? I was working the table, yeah, that was me. Blow the dust off your student ID. Right, get 50% off Articulate, which is, you can use that to create e-learning. There's also a 30-day free Articulate license. Just play with it for 30 days and then cancel it if you can't afford to keep it. A PA Career Link, if any of you go to PA Career Link, they have free webinars, free in-person activities, and they have grant money towards education. Now, it's not towards any education. There's very specific requirements around it, but go ask the question and look into it. Free money, free money. Okay. Your wherever you went to college, or if you got a master's degree, they have alumni career services. They may have some things that can help you as well, some programs, etc. Yeah, PA, the unemployment now wants you to sign up for PA Career Link, which is a good move. It's a good move. We're paying for that with our taxpayer money. You might as well take advantage of what you've been putting into for all this time, right? Yeah, and you do have to report your job search activities. So you have one for tonight. It could be applications, it could be networking, etc. So think about ways, how can I hone my skills? And if you're looking to move in a different direction, how can you get more information about that? How can you get more comfortable about that? Who can you talk to that can give you more information? So look into any and all ways that you can hone your skills. So of course, professional association meetings, conferences, webinars, ask to volunteer. If you see an in-person event or an online event, ask if you can volunteer and help in some way and let them know you're a job seeker. A lot of times they'll let you volunteer and come for free. I remember back when I was laid off, ATD National, I reached out to them and I said, how come the local chapters give a reduced membership for people that are in job transition and the national chapter doesn't? And they said, oh, we do. We just don't advertise it. So I think I got like 3 months for free. And I'm like, well, tell people. So I tell people, so now you know. So you all tell other people, and then hopefully they still do it. But it was a wonderful benefit for me because it's a couple $100 for the membership, and I didn't have to pay for a couple of months, and then I didn't have my membership lapse. So think of various ways that you can enhance your skills and or people you can talk to that can help you, that can provide information. And yeah, there you go, Rebecca. Check out with ATD. Call ATD National and see what they do. Tell them Amy sent you. They should know who I am because I actually speak at the international conference, but they probably don't in the call center. So, but ask, just say, hey, I'm a job seeker. I want to keep my membership going. Is there anything you do for people that are in job transition? And it's surprising what we don't know that's out there that can help you. So don't be afraid to share. There's no harm. Nobody's looking at you differently because you happen to be a job seeker right now. You might feel like they do. They don't. Okay. They don't. So ask for some help from people. There's no harm in doing that. And a lot of people like to help. All right, let's move on to our next one. So, being a good trainer, I had to put in here something about time management, because when you lose your job, you kind of lose all the boundaries, right? So you went to work at 8 and came home at 5 or whatever your time was, and you had meetings and you had this, and now you're a job seeker and maybe your whole day is open. So that can be good and that can be bad. If you're a good person with time, you could be really disciplined. If you're a bad person with time, you could say, what the heck did I get done today? So you do want to make sure that you're managing your time, you're taking your time, and you're figuring out, what do I need to get done today, tomorrow? And in that, think about what's important to your job search, like researching companies. If you're interviewing, obviously you're going to research, but you also want to be looking out there for companies in the area that you might want to work at and creating something called a target company list. Really important tip. You can go to the library, you can go online with the library, and they have different memberships like Hoover's and things like that, where you can look up information about companies to determine a list of companies you believe you want to work at. You don't know for sure, but it looks like it's a good company. You think you'd like to work there. And then once you have your target list of companies, and I'm networking, let's say I'm networking with Deborah right now, and I can say, hey, Deborah, would you mind taking a look at my target company list to see if you know anybody that you might introduce me to? These are companies I'm interested in working at. And hopefully Deborah's going to say, sure. And then I would offer the same to her if she were a job seeker. Deborah, if you have a target company list, I'd be happy to look at it and see if I have any connections I can share with you. This helps your networking contacts to help you because they can answer the question, yes, I know somebody at Vanguard. They can't answer the question, do you know anybody that has a position in, I don't know, make something up, nurse management in the local area? Well, if you're not in that field, you're not going to know who has a job open, but you would be able to tell me if you knew somebody at Vanguard, right? So that's how that target company list helps you. When you create that, and I would just do it one page, you don't want 500 companies, you want 50 or less companies, and you're not looking for people to give you a contact at each. You're just saying, here's my target companies. Let me know if you have anybody that you're willing to introduce me to. So it helps your network help you. That's a good use of your time. Create that list and use it to network. Also, please don't rush into something that's not a fit. I understand there are times when we're looking for a job and we do have to take a job maybe that's not exactly the job that we wanted. I do understand that, money's tight. We have to do that. But really try not to rush into something that's not a fit, because then you're stuck. You're stuck for a while because you're not going to want to leave right away, because then you're in job search again, right? So, and you don't want to jump right away because that also doesn't always look that good. Now, I was really fortunate. At the end of 2008, as I told you, I got the contract with AstraZeneca. Even though it was in drug development, it was in learning and development and drug development. So I got experience there. When I went to the contract at Saint-Gobain, that was in learning and development. So I was very fortunate that even though those were kind of stopgaps for me, they gave me great experience and turned into other jobs. So be a little particular, not too picky, but a little particular so that you don't end up in something that you just absolutely hate. This is advice you've probably been given, and I know I've been given. Don't run from something, move towards something. If you just came out of a really bad job situation that you were laid off from, you want to move positively towards something. You don't want to be running from something. It's just, you're not going to look at things in the way that you need to. You're just going to be, you're going to be grabbing onto the wrong things when we do that. And then the last one, which makes sense, but just a reminder, create and follow a schedule. So now that you don't have your normal schedule, you need to give yourself a schedule. And that could be, I'm going to attend a networking event from 9 to 10. I'm going to have a Zoom coffee with another job seeker at 11 o'clock. I have a phone interview at 1, but you want to have some things scheduled into each day to give yourself really boundaries and somewhat of a schedule. All right, I'm trying to look at the chat too here. Let's see. Oh, and by the way, I see you're mentioning about December. Something I want to make sure that I say is, yeah, Deborah said it. Thank you, Deborah. You're reading my mind. Don't stop because it's the holidays. Everybody stops. It's the holidays. Nobody's hiring. Bull. I got hired in December for a job and started in January. They're looking to fill those jobs right now. It may take a little bit of time because some people are out and that type of thing, but do not stop, because guess what? Everybody else is stopping. So if you keep going, you'll get a job and they'll come back in January and start looking and you're going to be working. So don't do what everybody else does. Okay. Really think about continuing to network. What does everybody do in December? They're still having some holiday parties. I've seen some holiday parties happening, not as many as normal, but there's still some. What do you think? People are having a drink, they're happy. It's a great time to network. Go to some of these holiday parties and meet up. I think Josh is at PSPS tonight. That's where he is. Greater Valley Forge is coming up. HR, that's an HR association. They're having a holiday party. So those are great, great places to be networking. So thank you, Deborah. You were thinking just what I was thinking. I like when people read my mind. And yeah, Mark is saying recruiters are always looking, right? They want to fill their positions. They don't stop. That's their job. So don't you stop. Keep looking. All right. Job search toolkit. Okay, I need a drink of water. So while I'm getting a drink of water, I want you to answer this question in chat. What are some things that need to be in your job search toolkit? Go ahead and type those in. What needs to be in that toolkit? And this would be several things. References. What else do we need? Updated resume, bio. Good, think beyond the resume. That's an obvious one. What else do we need? Desired salary range, portfolio, potentially, cover letter. Keep going. Let's pull out a couple more from the group here. Star statements for interview. Very good. Elevator pitch, LinkedIn profile. You're getting there. Interview questions. Both preparing for what you might be asked, as well as having some questions that you can ask the future employer, right? Freshen up your references, job alerts, do research or target company lists we just mentioned. Nice job. Thank you for participating. I appreciate that. All right. Resume, very obvious. We're not going to go into details with all of this because that would probably take us about 3 hours. So resume and cover letter, of course. You want to customize your cover letter. Now, I know a lot of people are like, why should I do a cover letter? I don't think they really read it anyway. Well, here's a way to differentiate yourself. Maybe they won't read the cover letter, but maybe they will. And maybe the other candidates didn't put one in, but you did. This is a way to tell your story. This is a way to sell yourself. This is how to show I can do the job. So don't skimp. And because you're tired and you're sick of sending these things out, create a cover letter each time you apply for a job. Target company list, we mentioned already, very important to help with your networking. LinkedIn profile, I believe in the, I actually, Shannon's saying the paid is worth it. I've never had a paid LinkedIn account. I've only ever had a free account, and I've gotten what I needed from that. But you need to decide, if you feel like there's a benefit there, that's a personal choice. I've just never had to. I've been able to connect with people and do what I need to do without that. Definitely want to have that LinkedIn profile because recruiters are looking on LinkedIn for you. And if you're not there, they are not going to find you. Okay. And if you submit a resume, they'll go out and look for your LinkedIn profile. And if you don't have one, they're going to wonder why not. Okay. So really good tool that you can have for free that helps you to find a job and helps other people to find you. So let's see, account on Glassdoor. I'm looking at some more of what you said. Finding contacts at companies to introduce you. Yes. Oh, Deborah, you must have heard me speak before once or twice. Thank you notes. I love thank you notes. Keep your receipts. Cover letter can be generic, but I really think you should make it appropriate for the job. Oh, yes, that's true. And that's different than it used to be. The paid LinkedIn includes LinkedIn Learning. It didn't used to, so that is new. Write posts on LinkedIn so people see you, you're visible. And you can't tell how many people have looked at your URL. That's very true. So thank you. Those are some good reasons to have a paid LinkedIn. You're giving me some reasons now. I appreciate that. Now you'll see my fourth bullet says networking profile, one pager. It might be called a marketing plan. There's like 5 different names for this document. What is this? This is a document that is not your resume that you use for networking purposes. So if Mark and I were meeting for a Zoom networking meeting, I would not send Mark my resume. I would send him my networking profile. The reason is I'm not asking Mark to find me a job. I'm not working with Mark, and I don't want Mark to feel the pressure that he has to find me a job because I sent him my resume. I also don't want my resume to get out of my control, meaning Mark's a really nice guy. So he's going to send it to everybody he knows. And now I don't know who has my resume. Now, he's doing it for a good reason, but the problem becomes other people. Have you ever had somebody contact you and say, "Oh, I have a great sales job for you, Amy"? And I'm like, "Did you look at my resume? I'm in learning and development. I don't want a sales job, but somehow they got my resume and they have a sales job they need to fill. And I probably would be pretty good at sales, but I don't want to do sales. So don't let your resume get out of your control. It should only be when you're applying for jobs. If somebody asks for your resume, send them your profile and say, if you have somebody or somewhere specific that you think would be important for my resume to go, can you put me in contact with them? And then you're still in control of your resume. Yeah, you get all kinds of crazy things when people get your resume. So a networking profile or a one page or a marketing plan, if you've never seen such a document, it has some components of your resume, but it's not. It has your contact information. It has a list of the jobs that you've held, but not descriptions, just a list of the jobs that you've held and the titles that you've held. And then it's, what are you looking for? I'm looking for a director of talent development or a manager of talent development. Or so you might put some titles of positions you're interested in. So it looks a little bit different from a resume. And if you let me know how am I going to do this? Actually, maybe Mark can help me. If you let Mark know that you would like a copy of a sample networking profile in chat, he can let me know who asked for it, but I'll need your email address. And I can send you a sample networking profile. And if everybody asks for it, I can just send it to Josh. So I can do it either way, but it's a good document to have because I don't want to send somebody a resume that I'm just networking with. I just want them to know a little bit about me through the networking profile. I'm going to go back here. So you shouldn't put your resume on Indeed. No, I would say I would limit where I put my resume. I would put it on Indeed because that is, very many people are using Indeed today, and I would potentially post it on LinkedIn. I don't even know Monster Career Builder. Are things happening on those two anymore? I think they've kind of died, or I don't even know if they're still around, but I would use Indeed and LinkedIn if you're going to post your resume. But I wouldn't put it everywhere. I'd be selective about where I put my resume and then do your alerts for jobs that come up. because I still have had my resume out there and I've had people contact me for jobs that have nothing to do with what I do. And I'm like, well, how did they get my resume? It must be from out there because, I haven't posted it anywhere for quite a while. So one of you mentioned an elevator speech, and that is important again for networking. So in order to network, you want to have an elevator speech or pitch. It has that title because if you were on an elevator and the door's shut before you get to the next floor, you should be done with your elevator pitch. If you're still talking, it's too long. Okay, so 30 seconds, maybe a minute. You don't want a long elevator speech. If you lose the person you're introducing yourself to, what good have you done, right? None. So you want to have something that's maybe 3 sentences long, maybe 4 at the most. I'll give you an example. Hi, my name's Amy Dinning. I'm a learning and development professional. I've done everything from soup to nuts in training, designing, delivering, evaluating, managing the department, etc. I'm looking for a director of talent development position in the suburbs. End of speech. You might have a sentence in there. Here's 3 of my strengths. That might be another sentence that you have in there. So short, to the point. And what you want the person to say is, that's really interesting, Amy. Tell me a little bit more about you. If you keep droning on and on and on, they are not going to say, that's very interesting. Tell me more about you. They're going to walk away or turn off their Zoom. And you don't want to do that, right? You want to get their attention and you want to give them a little bit of information about you. That's all you're doing with that elevator speech. LinkedIn recommendations or references outside of LinkedIn, I think are still good. I think people do look at recommendations in LinkedIn, and I think references are always helpful. You want to have those references. Most places will ask you once you get an offer for people that they can check in on what are they going to say about you. But of course, they also know that you're going to give them people that are going to say good things about you. Portfolio, and somebody mentioned that. In our field of learning and development, you can potentially have some things that you can share. Be careful, put draft on them, don't share the whole boat. I learned that early on in my career. I actually had an interview with somebody that had their own learning and development company who stole the program that I shared with them to show them an example of my work. Yeah, hard to believe, isn't it? But it did, it happened. And I'm very trusting of people, but unfortunately I have to say, don't give it all away, give a little bit that shows what you can do, but don't give everything so that something like that doesn't happen. But it's good to have a portfolio, or depending on what your role is. I know earlier in my career, I had created a list of all the training titles of training that I had created. And that was another document that I posted when I was applying for jobs. And guess what? People would remark on it. They would say, you created a ton of learning and development, so they saw that, my cover letter and my resume. And so if there's something that will set you apart, it doesn't necessarily even have to be a program. It can be the number of different programs that you've designed and developed. So if that helps you, steal that idea, I'm happy for you to have it. But your toolkit is more than your resume. Absolutely. I want to make sure that you have the appropriate tools in your toolkit for when you need them. And a lot of them, as you heard me say, are for networking purposes. So would it surprise you that my next tip is networking? Some people tell me that my middle name is Amy networking dinning. It is not, but I do love to network. I love to meet new people and I love to help people. So networking is kind of a natural thing for me. I know it is not for everyone. I know it's hard for some people. So here's what I recommend you do. Figure out the best way for you to network that works for you. You don't have to go to group events with 5,000 people. You might not be comfortable doing that. Go to a small networking event or do a Zoom coffee with one other person. Make it work for you. But can I tell you, 80% of your time at least should be spent networking. At least. This is where you're going to get the bang for your buck, not applying for jobs. Because if you network, and you find a connection at a job you want to apply for, then you might have an open door to get in and get an interview. But if you don't know anybody at that company, you're just a stack of resumes, right? You're at the bottom. Okay. But when you network, people can help you, even if they don't know you. I've had 30-minute networking calls with people that have helped me get in for an interview that I never met in person. Yes, I did just say that. 30-minute calls. I never met them in person, and they helped me get in for an interview. Let's see, I'm going back to my chat here. Let people know if you have this CPTD, that's hard to say, or APTD. They should have made that a little bit easier, Deborah. We need to talk to them about that. Yeah, federal jobs would ask about courses, portfolio. So you would need that for federal jobs. Yeah, you can network right now. Here's how you can do it. Go out and get your LinkedIn link. Put it in the chat to share it with everybody. And then you can save the chat at the end and connect with everybody. What a wonderful idea. I can't do it right now because I'm doing too many things, but you're free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Absolutely. Network, network, network. This is where, and see, look, I even said 85% of my time. So 80 to 85% of your time networking. Virtual coffee. And this is really building a relationship with people so that you can ask for information or connections. Never for a job, never asking for a job when you network. Information and connections. Now, I've had somebody offer me a job when I was networking, but you're never asking for a job when you're networking. You're asking for them to share information, advice, and after you've had a little time to build a relationship, are you comfortable sharing any connections with me at any of these target companies that I'm interested in? That's what you're going for when you're networking. And guess what? It might not pay off immediately. It might pay off later, in a week, 2 weeks, a month, a year. You never know. I don't remember the time difference, but I had this thing happen to me that was astounding. I had been at a networking event. I think it was a Penn State networking event. I got my master's degree from Penn State. And I met this gentleman. He was very nice. And I used to use, just to be kidding, now I'm going to forget what I said. Amy's my name and training is my game. I used to say that. And you know what? People remember that, right? Because it's got the Amy's my name. Well, I had some guy that I met at a Penn State networking event, like a year later, send me a training position. He said, I don't know if you're looking for a job, but I remembered that you were in training and I wanted to send you this job. So I mean, a year later, think about that. You never know when you're, somebody said we are. Allison, you're from Penn State as well. We never know when that networking is going to pay off. It could be immediate and it could be in the future, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. So yeah, good. You guys are Yes, I did, Allison. I got my MED in Instructional Systems and Design at Penn State Great Valley. That was me. I won't tell you what year. You already know what year because we talked about Gumby, right? Okay, so have informal networking calls with your contacts at target companies. 30 minutes, no more. 30-minute calls. Most people are willing to give 30 minutes of their time. And then attend meetings like this. And as meetings start to come back in person, that makes networking so much easier than networking virtually. But we can network. And, we are networking and we're learning from each other. So network, network, network. All right, more about networking. So one-on-one networking versus group networking. So one-on-one networking, a phone call, Zoom, Teams call, 30 minutes. Have an agenda. It's a meeting. Have an agenda and share the agenda with the person that you're going to network with and your networking profile. So, Deborah and I meet at this networking event here tonight, and we decide we're going to have a call. Before we have the call, I'm going to send Deborah an agenda and my networking profile. What does it show? I'm organized, right? I'm going to make good use of the time. Deborah knows what to expect. This shows your skills. So the more of your skills, because you don't know what will happen with networking. And if you're networking with somebody else who's a job seeker, they still know people. I've had people say, I don't want to network with job seekers. How are they going to help me? Do they know people? Of course they know people. You might live next to the president of the target company that you're interested in. So everybody is good networking connections for you. Ask for advice or information. That's what you're looking for in this 30 minutes. And I wait till the end of the conversation to say, is there anyone else you can recommend I speak with? Or would you mind me sharing my target company list and see if there's anybody else you would be willing to introduce me to? But I wait till the end. So we've had some time to get to know each other. Tell me a little bit about you. Here's a little bit about me. Look at my second to last bullet point. Ask what you can do to help them. Networking is a two-way street. It's not you just asking for their time. You should offer something, and you don't know what to offer. So say, is there anything I can do to help you? You don't know what they need, but they might need something you can help them with. So ask. And if they say, oh, I can't think of anything, well, I usually say, I realize you can't think of anything right now, but if something comes up, please remember, I would be happy to help you. So that they know they can come back to you. And then please, please, please do the last bullet, follow up. Please follow up. So if you said you were going to send something to them, send it to them. You should send a thank you note, as Deborah reminded us, or a thank you email. That's part of your follow-up. Maybe you're sending them a LinkedIn invitation. That's part of your follow-up. Follow up. If you don't follow up, that's a skill or a lack of a skill that you're showing that person. I can tell you, I've had a bunch of people that I've networked with, and they might have followed up initially. I never heard from them again. It's like, I spent 30 minutes, I tried to help them, and then I never heard from them again. Did they find a job? Are they out on the streets? I have no idea, because they did not, contact me again. So follow up. I realize it becomes a lot. It becomes a lot of following up with the networking, but it's really important. And group networking, Introduce yourself in chat like you're doing right now. You can even be putting a little bit of an introduction and then your LinkedIn link. Have your elevator speech ready to go. Ask someone during the meeting in chat or breakouts if you can connect with them after the meeting. And look what my last bullet is. Follow up. Follow up with whatever connections you make so that that becomes meaningful networking instead of, you just lost some contact there. You don't want to lose any contacts that you could potentially have. Any questions before I move on? You could unmute or put them in chat. Any questions? I'm just wowing you with my expertise, I can tell. This is what happens at night. I get a little punchy. All right, so guess what? We are going to do a short practice. Please do not leave. Everybody, when you say you're going to do a practice, likes to leave. Don't leave. You need this. This is safe. This is a safe environment for you to practice. So what I would like to do, and I'm going to see if it will let me do breakout rooms, or I think it will, is I'm going to put you in the breakout rooms with 1 or 2 people. And I want you, I lost somebody already. See, those people that don't like breakout rooms. This is going to be really easy.
Amy, are you okay if I stop the recording when we do this?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. All right, so we've got a couple more and then we're done. So another thing I just want to mention is setting yourself apart. And the idea that, there's a lot of job seekers out there and you want to appear different. And we've mentioned a couple of things. One thing was the portfolio that you could have, because maybe other people won't have that. Another thing we mentioned was the thank you note or email, because a lot of people don't do that. I used to always do handwritten thank you notes, but now it's hard because you don't know whether people are in the office or not. So really the email almost has to go for the thank you note. So in chat, or if you want to unmute, what are a couple of other things that you can do to set yourself apart? Can you think of some other ways that you can set yourself apart? What do you think? It must be later in the evening. You've gotten slower in the chat now.
They really like it when you use your SMART, when they ask you a question, especially those behavioral interview questions. They really like it when you do a SMART answer or a STAR answer. Because I have a bad habit of getting too informal and too comfortable because I really like what I do in learning and development. And so I'll tuck around and over and under and never quite answer the question. So piece of advice that I got from an Amazon interviewer was like, do your STAR, situation, task, action, result. Boom, answer the question.
Good.
So it doesn't drag on.
Yep, be focused. Yeah. So STAR really helps you to be focused. So good. Any other ideas for how to set yourself apart? Oops. Let's see.
I think people like it when you show that you're current, that you know a great deal about a specific topic area, or that you show that you have I guess it's a difference between breadth and depth. In some cases you need to show depth, in other cases you need to show breadth, but whatever you show, it needs to be current, and people like to hear that you are current in the field.
Yep, good point. So yeah, they don't want to see that, 5 years ago you knew such and such, because it's changed, in the last 5 years. So you want to have the opportunity to show that you are current. So yeah, I do have on here thank you notes. Another thing, provide more than what they ask for. Maybe they don't ask you for a portfolio, but you provide it anyway. You know, provide more than what they're asking you for. The cover letter is another way to set yourself apart, you know, because not everybody does cover letters. Kim, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I think you can set yourself apart at any point along the way. And for example, Amy, when you're asking about networking and asking for 30-minute conversations, I think people are often impressed when someone takes the initiative and they go after what they're interested in. That's often a skill that's valuable on the job as well. So you're demonstrating that by asking to have a conversation with somebody for a half hour.
Yep. Yeah, you know, I remember you just brought up a memory, Kim. I had a 30-minute networking call with a lady. I can't remember what company she worked for. And then I got asked to speak at Villanova University, their HR association, you know, for the Villanova students. And one of the other speakers was this woman who I had never met in person. I had just had the phone conversation with. So I went up to her, shook her hand, and I said, I'm pretty sure you don't remember who I am, but I had a networking call with you about, it was a couple of years before that. And she goes, oh my gosh, yes, I do remember who you are. And I was really looking forward to meeting you in person at this event. And I was like, you know, because I made an impression. So just like you're saying, Kim, through networking, through informal discussions, through we're setting ourselves apart, or we have the opportunity to set ourselves apart in all these cases. So thank you. That was great. I like what you said there. So this is the third bullet is an idea that I stole from, oh gosh, now I'm going to forget his last name, Eric. He wrote a book on interviewing called
Eric Kramer.
Yes, thank you. It's later at night. I can't remember. Thank you, Eric Kramer. And what he recommended was creating a PowerPoint, a short PowerPoint. And after either the first or second interview, you leave it with them. You don't have to review it. You leave it with them and you do things like, here's what you're looking for in the job, might be a slide. The next slide is, here's what I have, or here's how I achieve that or exceed that. And then the most important part is to have like a 30, 60, 90-day plan in there if you were to get the job. So like on the first page, I put Amy Dinning, the title of the job, and I find the logo of the company. And I put that on the first page. And then the next page, I put, here's what you're looking for. The next page, I put, here's what I have, or here's how I meet that. And then I might do the 30, 60, 90-day plan. So not very long, but guess what? How many people do you know do this? 0, right? So it's another way to set yourself apart. And you create that presentation and you can either email it to them, or if you're meeting in person, you could hand it to them and say, hey, I just created this for you, a little bit more information about me. I want to leave it with you. You don't have to review it. You just give it to them. Again, it's another way that you're showing how determined you are, how good a fit you are. You're giving them more information to make a decision on you. So be creative and think about how can you set yourself apart. And Mark was mentioning, know your superpowers. What are your superpowers that you can share with the hiring manager or HR or whoever you're talking to, so that you can let them know what do you have that other people don't have that they need to get you in there for that job. All right. So we're coming to an end here, and this is what I'd like you to do. I know I'm a trainer and I know you're in training. I can't help it. An action plan. Okay, so here's what we talked about. Consider your career goals, stay open-minded and be flexible, hone your skills, take your time and also have a schedule, compile, update your job search toolkit, network, 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 and set yourself apart. So grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, because if you don't write it down, you won't remember. Which of these steps do you want to focus on? Don't do them all because you won't do them all. So pick one. And what are you going to do to work on that step? So which step and what are you going to do to work on that step? And then you'll be able to get the slide. So if you want to go to another action after you complete the first one, that's great. But don't sign yourself up for too much. Just do one right now. Which step and what action? And if you want to be a really good action planner, when are you going to do it? Give yourself a date. And then put it on your calendar so you remember to do it. So I do want to.
I like, Abe,
Go ahead.
I like your idea of the, I don't know what to call it, the deck where you talk about, here's what you're looking for, here's how I fit, and here's what I'll do with 30, 60, 90 day. The only question I had was about that 30, 60, 90 day, because I have asked the question in interviews, so if I'm successful in a year, what will I have accomplished? And they often aren't able to articulate that. And so that would be, if I were going to write a 30, 60, 90, that would be what I would sort of drive that plan towards, is, you know, what they're trying to get in a year. But I found that it's very common that they're not really sure what success would look like in the future. So how do you build that plan with that sort of?
That's a great question. So first of all, don't ever ask the recruiter that question. Always ask the hiring manager. Yeah, because the recruiter has no clue. Sometimes, a good hiring manager should know. Here's what I do. I make it very general. You know, the first thing I want to do is I want to build relationships with key stakeholders in the organization. I want to do a training, learning needs analysis of the organization. I want to get to understand the culture and how work gets done and how I can be successful doing work. That's what I do. I make it very general. But see, you're still thinking it out. You're thinking it out. And that's what they care about, that you thought it out and you thought enough to share it with them, if that makes sense.
It absolutely makes sense. It's like, here's my onboarding plan from my perspective. You know, that's easy for me to build because done that.
And if you can find anything specific about the company that you could put in that 30, 60, 90, you know, like for example, I got a job once when two banks were merging because they didn't have anybody in learning and development and they needed somebody. So, you know, if you can find something out, like I've had experience in mergers and I can help your two organizations come together from a learning and development perspective, you know, so if there's anything you can add that's specific, but I think even being general is fine. People are still impressed with that.
Okay. All right. It makes sense.
I just echo that? Yeah. Same thing. The internet has lots of references. So Rebecca, if you're applying to Google, it's pretty easy to find not only who the hiring manager is and maybe where they fit in the organization. Go to ZoomInfo or Glassdoor or whatever, and you can kind of construct like, you know, because all the jobs are going to say they expect problem solving skills and all these kinds of critical thinking. And so you can kind of guess, right? And even if you're wrong, they'll correct you. They'll just make your case even better, you know? So if you say, well, it looks like you guys are doing this initiative for DEI or whatever it is, and even if you're wrong, they'll correct you. Or maybe you get to a site like Humanity locally has a lot of like blogs and stuff about what's going on or some of the other insurance companies. It's amazing the stuff that they put to the public to say, here's what our company culture is. And they kind of just makes your case easy. Now it's hard if it's like a 1-day turnaround, but I feel like you've got through the screeners and you've gotten through the various interviews. By the time you really need to like prepare your package, there's enough time for you to kind of do that kind of research.
Great. And Deborah, were you going to
Thanks.
add something?
I was just going to chime in and say that there's a book out called The First 90 Days. I used to give it to staff, that I would hire, and it would help them to acclimate themselves to the organization. And it kind of lays out that kind of a plan in a sequential manner. So it gives you those general concepts that you can lay out and really impress people if you leverage those things from The First 90 Days, the book. It's still
It's on my
out there on
shelf.
Amazon. It's an excellent book.
Yeah, it's on my shelf, Deborah. So because I've used.
There you
Thumbs
go.
up. That's on
I
mine
think I have it
too.
too. Yeah, I think I have it too. So
Yeah, well, I
that's
built
good.
onboarding programs, and so there were certain things that were ubiquitous to all of them, and that was that book was very good at explaining and describing them.
Yeah, that's great. Good ideas.